we are passing through a very, very crucial, you may say, change over time. And this is something, which is going to probably create a new economic order. It's going to, to change practically every single thing that we are used to doing it. And therefore, I look at post-COVID-19 period as a new economic order. And in that particular economic order, what kind of opportunities are expected to be there? I think that is what I have to probably talk about. And when I have to look at the economic order, obviously, the first thought that comes to my mind is, what exactly is economics? I mean, economics is used in many different ways. It's defined in many different ways by the people. But whenever I desire to talk, or whenever I have to talk, I always try to probe a little deeper and try to understand the exact connotation or the meaning of the word or meaning of the term or meaning of the subject that I'm required to talk about. And in my opinion, economics always talks about supply and demand. So I thought, why not put them in a slightly more elaborate way and try to sort of tell the lay people or the others as to what exactly do we mean by economics. To my mind, it is production, cultivation, creation, and delivery of goods and services. That is the supply side. And on the demand side, we have to look at the demand of needs, wants, luxuries, and obviously a risk-free life or the comforts. When I say needs, these are the basic needs. Then we come to the wants. Through the marketing and through the many changes in life, we have many wants. We can live without them, but then some of them become part of our essential needs. For example, we look at a scooter or a car or an air conditioner. Well, we can live without them, but if we are used to them for some time, they become essential part of our lives. For example, LPG, we get used to that, and LPG therefore becomes an essential part of our life. It is an essential need. It is no more a want. And then we come to the luxuries, and we know very well that there are many ways in which the luxuries are created. Demand for luxuries are created, and we all get used to them in some point of time or the other. And last but not the least, all of us want to have comforts. All of us want to be free of risks. For example, today we've got coronavirus. All of us are chasing a life which is going to be free from the risks that are associated with this particular coronavirus. So naturally, economics is something which is revolving around such supplies and such demands, and interwoven with them are the other facets of money, finance, etc., etc., etc. When we talk about economics, we need to go a little bit into the history of economics. All of you have been probably hearing about Adam Smith, and Adam Smith was the person who probably 250 years ago wrote a book called Wealth of Nations. And that is the foundation of the economic thinking which is prevalent today. Adam Smith is said to be the founder of capitalism. And capitalism means you should produce profits. You should create wealth. When capitalism turned out to be extremely, you may say, one-sided, there was a revulsion, there was a kind of a reaction to that. And that's when Karl Marx and other people came up with something which is called communism. Now, these are the two pillars around which the current economic structure of the world is built. You need to understand, in capitalism, there is a kind of importance to profit and profit only, with pure profit, or we can call it as Shuddha Labh. In communism, there is no place for profit, and it is therefore synonymous with Shunya Labh. The point is, are these the only two ways? Is there any other thought process that has gone into economics? And that is when we are compelled to look at the history of ancient India, China, and other places. And that's where we find that there was something different than this. All of you would have seen two words written outside every commercial premise and every home. And these two words are Shubh Labh. The Shubh Labh come from our ancient days, and they have got a very deep significance. Labh in Indian ethos, in Hindu or Sanatan economics system, labh or making profit was considered to be honorable, was considered to be respectable. Making money or creating wealth was always a desirable an activity, but it was always circumscribed, or it was preceded by the word shubh. Why shubh? Because in the ancient days, there was a desire that whatever profit that you make should be good for all. It should be a win-win profit. So today, the current economic order that we have got is predicated, is built completely on the philosophy of pure profit. Such a profit in which ethics has got no place. But the moment you add ethics to economics, dharma and earth, they get together, and that's when you look at the shubh labh. And when you look at our own economic history, which many people have probably not been exposed to in the schools of management, economics, or the university education, it's the theory that was given by Chanakya, Arthashastra. Arthashastra probably did not or does not find much mention in these schools and colleges, but Arthashastra is the first modern, you may say, economics textbook, and it contains a whole lot of such principles and such, theories that are worth emulating even today. I don't want to go into that, but all that I want to tell you is that the current economic paradigm, the current economic structure that is there in the world, the global architecture that is in the world is built more or less on capitalism or variations of capitalism and communism, and there isn't much of a thinking on the aspect of, you may say, shubh labh or win-win profit, or you say something which will be doing kalyan or mangal for everybody. When you look at the Hindu purusharths, all of us are required to look at the four purusharths, four pursuits that we are required to go through, and these are dharma, arth, kam, and moksha. When you look at dharma, it is not religion, it is the ethical living. Ethical living, earth is for making profits, kam is for enjoyment, and once you have had these the three things, then naturally you are ready to go, and that is when you start thinking about renunciation. So these four pillars of the Hindu purusharths are worth understanding, because they will tell us as to what kind of a structure that we should be looking for. Coronavirus has hit us at a time, and has hit us in such a manner that we are required to sit back and think whether the economic structure, the economic philosophies that we are following are correct, or we need to look at something different. And that is where I guess we will have to now think of something which is part of the Hindu ethos, trinity of the Hindu gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. Brahma is supposed to be the creator, Vishnu is supposed to be the sustainer or manager, and Shiva is supposed to be the destroyer. Shankar is destroying, but at the same time, at the same place, some creative activity is initiated by Brahma. So we are now going through a process of creative destruction. So we don't have to completely be disappointed or depressed with the process of destruction of some businesses that is happening, destruction of some domains that is happening, because we have to understand that this is going to become the birthplace of many, many new types of activities, new types of entrepreneurial opportunities. So through the process of this creative destruction, we are going to emerge a lot better, a lot smarter, a lot stronger. So this is something which we need to understand extremely well. For example, look at the health issues that have come up. Something, which is bothering each one of us. And I would like to talk a little more about the health part, because of the fact that health, good health, is the foundation of everything. In Sanskrit, there is a small shloka which says, dharmarth, dharmarth, kam mokshana, arogyam, moolam uttamam, which means that for all the four purusharths, for all pursuits in this world, good health is essential. There is no meaning in your having wealth, there is no meaning in your being ethical, there is no meaning in your maybe probably going for enjoyment if you are not having good health. So Arogya is the pillar, and therefore Arogya is something which should be pursued by each one of us. I happen to be national vice president of an organization called Arogya Bharti. And Arogya Bharti is working with two objectives: to keep the individual, family, society, and country Arogya, without diseases, Nirogi, without diseases. And if at all you are afflicted with disease, then you should have treatment and you should have a healing in a path-agnostic manner. These are two objectives. And Arogya Bharti is an outfit of RSS, and it has been assisting Government of India in many different ways. During these, the last 15 days, we arranged two webinars through ITF and Arogya Bharti. The first one was vaccines, past, present, and future. Believe me or not, the consensus was that vaccines are not going to be available to us for at least 18 months. And if the vaccines are not available, then how are we going to survive? So we had the second webinar, and that was on the 15th. We had that, say a day or two ago, and in that, something very, very, maybe interesting has come out, that there are many, many ways in which, we can build the immunity. Vaccines are meant to provide specific immunity. Vaccines are nothing but immunity providers, immunity boosters. So how can we build the immunity in different ways, alternative ways? And that's when we talked about Ayush, we talked about, the food, nutrition, yoga, pranayam, and things like that. And the recommendations have gone to Government of India as to what kind of tools can we use for immunity boosting. So health, in my opinion, is something that is going to be very, very vital. So when we look at the entrepreneurial opportunities, we will have to look at, obviously, the new society, new modes, new social culture, new working culture that we are going to face. I will not like to take, all the opportunities, that are there, but I would like to pick up a few which are going to be in domains like health, in education, and obviously waste management, which is something, which is very close to my heart. So let us look at health. Today, for COVID-19, there is no allopathic drug, no proven allopathic drug that is available. Let's be very clear. HCQ, that is meant for malaria, but HCQ has been tested on the people who were infected, with COVID-19, and there have been results. So therefore, some repurposing of that drug has taken place, a limited kind of an approval is given. After that, the remdesivir, that particular medicine, which is meant for HIV, that has also been tried out, and it has been shown that it probably reduces the number of days that you take to recover from this, from 15 to 11 days, and some further work is going on. Remdesivir has also been given a limited clearance by FDA in the USA. It is going to be tried out other places. But there is no other medicine. Everything else is intermediate. So the point is, what are the options? So within Ayurveda, within homeopathy, within Unani, there are certain solutions which have been used for flu-like conditions, which have been used in TB, which have been used in pneumonia, whether they could be probably used, and there is going to be a very, very big opportunity for clinical trials and, for the adoption. When it comes to the question of clinical trials, huge opportunity is there for the Ayush. Why it is there? Because Ayurveda has always believed that we have, got medicines that have been used for 2,000 or 3,000 years. But to the modern mind, to the policy makers, to, to the health bureaucrats, this is something that is not acceptable. It is necessary that clinical trials are done. Now, these clinical trials have to be done in the manner, in the protocol that is going to be specified. Today, we are talking about straight away trials on the human beings because of the emergent situations. So we may possibly be able to subject the patients to certain Ayurveda medicines, and Government of India has recently given the clearance. Very same thing is going to happen with homeopathy. Within homeopathy, there are 2-3 things which you might have been hearing about. One is, camphora, one which is being given by Dr. Rajan Sankaran and by Rajiv Bajaj, and arsenic album, which has been specified by Government of India. And this is something, which is, going to be the subject for clinical research. But if the clinical research protocols are made, clinical research organizations can come up for Ayush. If that is done, then the businesses for Ayush can become very big. Believe me or not, immunity boosting through a variety of means is going to be as big a business or a bigger business than the medicines. Please understand, disease is dis-ease. When you are not feeling uncomfortable, when you are not in that ease, you are diseased. And for that, obviously, there is a role of host and role of, so maybe the guest, which means the pestilence, which means the pathogen that are attacking you, and the host, both are important. And host immunity, general immunity, as well as specific immunity, is something which is going to be a very big an opportunity for all the entrepreneurs. I mean, Ayurveda has got, herbals have got, homeopathy has got, then you have got nutraceuticals, ayurveda, and all kinds of things. These are the areas which are going to become very big. I was talking to somebody who is there in the business of tea, and I was saying, now that the kadas are being made very popular, can't you come up with a set of kadas? Can't you come up with a variety of kadas which will be giving us that kind of a vigor, that kind of an immunity, the protection, and that will be also making us cheerful. So there is going to be a very big opportunity for various kinds of decoctions, various kinds of preparations that can be done. And again, it could be there are with the teas and things like that. Telemedicine, try to understand telemedicine. COVID-19 has taught us that in the future, possibly, we will be better treated for our home problems, for our primary, maybe, issues, and for even some secondary issues through telemedicine. Telemedicine protocols are available, it can be perfected. All kinds of things can be built around telemedicine, and this can become an extremely big business. Fourthly, we have to understand that vaccines are, let's see, allopathic kind of materials. But within homeopathy, there are again vaccines which are made in the homeopathic way, which are called the nosodes. Big opportunity in that particular field. So in the healthcare sector, I personally find there are a lot of opportunities that we can look at. Then we come to education. What we are seeing today, I am sitting here and I'm talking to 500 people. It would have been impossible for me to do if I were to be there in a campus. I would have been able to probably talk to 50 people, but they would have to be there in the campus. Today, I can talk to 500 or 1,000 people, or maybe 5,000 people, depending on the technology, and I can share my knowledge, which can then be done in some other ways. What is, after all, education? This is something we should understand. In the field of education, we create knowledge, compile knowledge, then we kind of transmit or convey that knowledge. Once that knowledge has been conveyed, it has been delivered, it has been transmitted, we then want to check whether the knowledge has been assimilated. And fourthly, we need to test whether that knowledge has been completely absorbed or not. So this particular process of education, which is being done in the campuses, can be, I think, done to a large extent through open and these kinds of e-platforms. Education is there going to be very different. There are so many possibilities, so many distinctive possibilities which will be better. I may just tell you about the Coursera, and I remember that the first course in Coursera was offered by Mr. Agarwal, and he offered a course on computers, and I think design of something in computers, and he probably delivered that knowledge to 5,000 or 6,000 or 10,000 people all across the world, from which output was probably 10 times more than what you would have been able to do over there. Today, within India, we have got a desire, we have got certain platforms, we've got Swayam, we've got Coursera, we've got edX, we've got a whole lot of them. So in my opinion, the campus education that is being offered will have to be suitably replaced with a combination of online and campus. This is something that I think is going to happen. Within education, we naturally need to look at new models. After all, you go to a college, you go to a university, you acquire a degree, and that degree has got a market value. That degree has got the initial, you may say, license for you to get a job. But after that, it is the knowledge that matters. Ongoing knowledge, continuous knowledge. So I guess post-COVID, education, training, skilling, all these things will undergo a huge transformation, and you can build all kinds of the business models around that, because the technologies are available, people who can deliver this is available. Third area that I find is going to be very interesting is the waste to wealth creation. And I would like to take only two of them from there. Please look at the total land mass. Please look at the kinds of areas that various campuses are occupying, various research institutions are occupying. Look at the public sector enterprises, look at the government enterprises, look at many of the private enterprises, go to, to various industrial estates, and you will find vast tracts of land which have not been used over the last 25 years. Government of India did a very interesting thing to map the kind of use of the land with these central government enterprises around 4 years back. What they found was that 10 lakh acres of land is lying idle with these enterprises, which will not be used over the next 25 years. Wasted lands. These are wasted lands. Then you add lands that are lying in the trust with, the Waqf boards, with, the various, private enterprises, various panchayats, and you'll have a huge figure. We are finding a very serious problem of land shortage, apparently. And that's how we are not able to provide housing, we are not able to provide hostels, we are not able to provide small galas, we are not able to provide, the health centers, etc., etc., etc. If the wasted lands are put, to a proper use based on the demand, it will be creating many types of enterprises. Today, we are having a problem with the migrant labor. When they come back, they'll be requiring a proper living, proper quarter to. Now, that is where whole lot of hostels can be created, whole kinds of housing can be created, not necessarily by the government, by the private or anybody else. And this is how we can use the land over there. Along with the wasted lands, we've got wastelands. The moment, the government opens up the agriculture sector like they've done yesterday, I mean, after some, maybe hundreds of years, for the first time we are seeing a kind of emergence of a new paradigm where the farmer can sell his produce directly to the user. This is something which is going to transform. In the same fashion, wastelands that are lying 20-25% of the overall land mass is wasteland. If that can be offered, that can be given to the people, they can do many of the different things using the technology. You can green a place which was dry. I mean, there are so many examples of people who have been able to convert arid or totally, maybe useless lands into something very productive and something very fruitful. Entrepreneurial opportunities, they will be there in the wasted lands, they'll be there in the wastelands. And second, the very important thing, that I must tell you is the wasted talents. Zoom and such platforms are enabling us to get connected. There is not going to be retirement age. I mean, somebody with the knowledge, say, for example, tomorrow I give, this particular kind of a talk and I start charging something. I've created a business. I can charge something for my knowledge. Likewise, others, they can monetize, their knowledge and the skills. And therefore, all kinds of things will happen. This will also enable acceleration of various types of developments that we want to do. You've got scientists who are lying idle. We are having, many such technocrats after retirement, during, maybe the phase of working over there, who are unable to do anything within that rigid structure. The moment, they come out, they collaborate, they, they collude, or not sorry, collude, they, maybe, they kind of, come together, they should be, or they would be in a position to give a big boost. Our Honorable Prime Minister has announced Atmanirbhar Yojana. Now, how Atmanirbhar Yojana can be implemented? It is through reduction of the waste, utilization of waste, conversion of such, the waste into useful XYZ knowledge or products or services that we really can become a lot more self-reliant. So with all these, maybe opportunities, I personally think it is not only, maybe in one single space, everywhere we will see decline of some, but we will see rise of the new opportunities. And everywhere we'll have these opportunities to be manufacturing, it will be into so you can say water, wastewater, it will be, say into environment. Every single field will have huge opportunities. So I personally believe that this is not a time to get depressed or disappointed. This is the time to think about what all we can do. While we are looking at entrepreneurial opportunities, and I, maybe have been interacting with the DDI, we have been going there very often. I must tell you very, simply is that you should be absolutely clear as to what is business and how business has to be done. Business is meant for profit, and therefore, whenever you are thinking of starting an enterprise, you should be clear that you must know your figures very well. Business is all about figures, and therefore, knowledge of arithmetic, knowledge of your profit and loss, knowledge of the balance sheet, knowledge of your cash flow are absolutely essential. Every entrepreneur, every startup must focus on the figures. If you don't focus on the figures, you can go wrong. We have seen in the current or maybe recently gone by economic models, cash burning has become like an honorable thing. Cash burning, or you may say, kind of building large enterprises without any kind of a profitability is something valuable, something honorable. I personally think in the time to come, this will not be so, because global financial architecture will also have to undergo a change. I don't want to talk at this time on various things that are there, but I certainly would like all of you to read a book called The Finance Curse. This is by Nicholas Jackson. If you want to know what is going on in the world, what was the cause for 2008 and what is the cause for 2019 or 20, you will have answers in this particular book, because it is not a biological problem alone. It is also a very big financial problem that the world is facing. Another book that I would like you to read is the Economic Sutra, which will tell you about what Indian economic system has been and what it probably is going to tell us in the future, because Government of India has been thinking about a school of economics that is based on Indian ethos and Indian systems. I personally think that ITF has had an objective of India-centric thinking and action, but when it takes actions, it has got a desire to put emphasis on things that are simple, smart, sensible, sustainable, and scalable or spreadable. These are the 5 things which should be there for a project to be pursued. And I think this is something which you can also gain by thinking along those lines. At ITF, we have also got a small cell which is called ITF Gurukul. And this ITF Gurukul is there to provide guidance, to provide mentorship to the people who are aspiring. Off and on, many people they come and then talk about it, and then there is a kind of help in the Gurukul mode, where money exchange does not take place. It is something which is confined to exchange of knowledge, exchange of ideas with each other. So with these remarks, I personally think that you need not feel dejected. This is something which has come as a time for introspection. It is a time, 2 months or 2.5 months is not a very long kind of a period in life. I mean, we have seen wars, we have seen many of the tragedies, we saw the earthquake. Well, at those times also we had many types of disasters and many types of the things that had set us back. But it is not something that we could not live with. We have borne all that, and I personally think that COVID-19 will also pass by. We are going to have solutions. We are going to have definitely many ways in which we will be able to tackle. After all, management, as you know very well, is an art of overcoming the constraints, or you can say meeting the constraints, overcoming them, and carving out a path that is going to be good for all of us. So I think we are going to manage it. The kinds of maybe media hype that is surrounding it, the kinds of fears that have been created, they will get duly mitigated in the near future, and we will be having a new economic order wherein the current you may say paradigms of geopolitical and other considerations will bring about a change. The new order possibly will have a redefinition of many of the international organizations, WTO, IMF, World Bank. All of them will be required to be reconstructed. They will have to be made very differently. We'll also see a big thrust on self-reliance in each and every country. It is not only India which is talking about Swadeshi. I guess America has been talking for Swadeshi for a long time, especially after Mr. Trump's arrival, and they'll be talking more about it. Then we will have other European countries talking about. Everybody will be trying to at least have a substantial portion of their essential requirements to be either cultivated, created, grown, or fabricated within their own countries. They'll try to obviously depend on the remaining from outside. But the element of self-reliance in strategic areas, like in India, we'll have to think about health security. we'll have to think about energy security. And when we think about energy security, we'll have to think about renewables, because we don't have the fossil fuels. Or we'll look at say something else which is say going to be there in agriculture, or let's talk about defense. Everywhere we will have to think strategically. And this new economic order, which will be also requiring a rethinking on the financial model that the world has followed. Hundreds of offshore centers, allowing the drainage of the profits from developing countries, handing them over into the hands of, or handing them over to the rich and the powerful through say the web of Big 4, Big 8, Big 12 and consultants. That particular thing will be questioned, will be definitely changing. So with all that, I must tell you, every single challenge comes with huge opportunities. COVID-19 is a very, very big entrepreneurial opportunities. We should keep ourselves prepared for that, and should think creatively, should think innovatively, come up with solutions which will be meeting, as I told you, the demands of man relating to the needs, to wants, to luxuries, to comforts, and obviously for a holistic living of the people. So I stop here, and I would like to thereafter have questions and so the queries raised by you. Thank you very much, Idan.
थैंक यू धनराज साहब। तो आपने आज इकोनॉमिक्स की जो परिभाषा है, जो शुद्ध लाभ और शून्य लाभ के बीच का जो एक मिडिल पाथ है, जैसे बुद्ध कहते थे मध्यम मार्ग बेहतर होता है कई बार, तो आपने एक मध्यम मार्ग बताया शुभ लाभ वाला। तो कहीं ना कहीं एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग कंसेप्ट है, और इंटरेस्टिंग इसीलिए है क्योंकि इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ के लिए लाभ सबके लिए होना चाहिए। अगर किसी एक डोमेन के लोगों के लिए लाभ होगा तो फिर वो इंक्लूसिव नहीं होगा। कुछ क्वेश्चंस आ रहे हैं और क्वेश्चंस को लेंगे उनको। एक सर हैं, I'll read out his name. He is asking, so Paras Kalaria is asking, ये सुमाकर हैं जो कह रहे हैं कि एक स्मॉल इज ब्यूटीफुल करके एक नया इकोनॉमिक थ्योरी है। जरूरी नहीं कि बिग इज ग्रेट। आपकी क्या ख्याल है, कैन स्मॉल थिंग्स बी बिकम ब्यूटीफुल इन बिजनेस एंटरप्राइजेस?
अरे भाई साहब, I think you have asked a very pertinent question. MSME. We have got 7 crore and 20 lakh enterprises. New definition of MSME says an enterprise having an investment of up to 1 crore of rupees and 5 crores of turnover is a micro enterprise. Now, if you go by that definition, 99% of MSME enterprises are micro enterprises, not even small, micro enterprises. Microsoft was a micro enterprise. Amazon was a micro enterprise. Ambani's was a micro enterprise. Every single enterprise starts as a micro enterprise, more or less, barring some exceptions. So naturally, if you are able to grow that micro into small to medium, definitely this is going to be a great thing for every one of us. So small is beautiful. Shoemakers, the thinking, decentralized, small. Well, these can be all woven into something big. And this is something which I personally believe is a good concept, because 99% will continue to be micro enterprises in India. 98% will continue to be micro enterprises.
Wonderful. तो मैं इसमें एक उदाहरण भी दूंगा कि अगर आप पिछले 31 दिन की इकोनॉमिक सिचुएशन को देखेंगे, आई केम अक्रॉस आर्टिकल, उसमें ये कहता है पिछले 24 दिन में 7,000 करोड़ की पर्सनल प्रोटेक्टिव इक्विपमेंट की खरीदी हुई है इस देश में, 7,000 करोड़ इन 24 डेज। अब इंटरेस्टिंग बात है कि 26 दिन पहले इसकी कोई मार्केट नहीं थी, और अगर आप क्वार्टरली और एनुअली कैलकुलेशन करें, दिस इज नो लेस देन ए इमर्जिंग सेक्टर, any sector in India. So this is, I think, is going to be very interesting. It is not that economy will go deep, but some sectors will emerge which are not there because of new behavioral and tectonic changes. And if an entrepreneur can look at that as an opportunity rather than blaming into it, rather than being biased towards his previous products, I think they can make a lot of money. I mean, that's one area that how can you really solve problem which exists today at a large scale, and if you solve it, can you price it well, can you serve it well, can you do after sales well? I think that makes some money. सो रंगायत साहब, एक सवाल है कि आप इतने सारे स्टार्टअप्स को देखते हैं, मेंटर करते हैं, कहाँ पे इनसे गलती हो जाती है? क्योंकि इनके पास आइडिया की तो प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, ज्यादातर गलतियां कहाँ होती है जिसकी वजह से ये स्ट्रगलिंग फेज में रहते हैं, टेक ऑफ जल्दी नहीं होता है?
ऐसा है, I mean, to be very frank with you, we need to understand that the business is a serious pursuit first. And when you are trying to do business, you are not trying to do it because you want to generate a profit. Business in the current paradigm, even in the earlier paradigm, even in the Chanakya days, if you are doing business, you are doing it, for creating wealth. You are not doing it for destroying wealth. I find that most of the people, most of the startups are really, they're probably intoxicated with their idea. They don't understand that the business is not only idea. From ideation to modeling to piloting to probably putting in the market. This is a long journey. It's a serious kind of a thing. It could be a product or it could be a service. It could be some maybe IT solution, or it could be maybe hardcore product. Everywhere, please understand, journey is the same. You need to understand what will be your elements of cost, what will be your maybe overall cost, what will be the price that you should be able to charge, how should you ensure that after you have possibly maybe done the business, you will realize the money. After that, how are you going to take care of each and everything. Now all these the facets are not easy for everybody to understand. I have an idea that I will do XYZ and then I'll go maybe gaga over it. That does not really does not create a successful business. A business has to be understood in its the various essential elements and components. And I again maybe tell everybody that you should be very clear about your customer, your market, what is going to be your demand, what is going to be your XYZ. These are the questions that should be answered. I also come across many entrepreneurs who say, we are starting this and after some time we will go for a good valuation and then we'll hawk it off. Now this is something which is like a dream. One out of maybe 1,000, one out of 10,000 people may succeed, but valuation cannot be the starting point for a new entrepreneur.
वंडरफुल सर. सर, रुचित शुक्ला जी पूछ रहे हैं कि एग्रीकल्चर इकोनॉमिक्स में और एग्री एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप में क्या अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं और क्या आने वाला है?
अरे वाह, उसमें तो बहुत अपॉर्चुनिटीज है. देखिए, अभी what is the kind of a value addition that is taking place at the farm level? You will find it to be 5%, 10%. How much food processing takes place in the country? It could be 10, 15, 20%. किसी भी चीज को आप ले लो, वहां पे एग्री प्रोड्यूस की आप मान लिया जाए कि सही तरह से probably store it properly, आपने कोल्ड स्टोरेज वगैरह वहां पे रखा, उसको सुखाया, वहां पर उसको करने के बाद में using the energy which can be made available to you at a much lower cost through the renewables as against the traditional power. You process it over there into different things, package it and brand it. You naturally can do wonders. What is there in Pringle? Yesterday I was looking at the pack of Pringle and I saw 104 grams, 99 rupees. It is worth understanding it. 99 rupees, 104. So 1,000 rupees a kilo. Potato wafers, so potato chips are being sold in Pringle. It's a question of, positioning, packaging, marketing. Everywhere, this is going to be the thing. You look at a simple thing such as khakra. Look at Indumati Ben Khakra. Look at the Gujju Khakra. Look at the value addition. There is a huge possibility, in my opinion, in agro side. You do the proper processing, branding, packaging, marketing. You will find that you can do wonders. Look at Horlicks. So look at all these people. What are they doing? And when we are looking at immunity boosting, when we are looking at maybe the kinds of ethnic foods, the kinds of maybe foods that can boost up our own XYZ the health, you have got a big opportunity. And then at the same time, you can have many simple functional foods which can be there. You could have then derivatives from that. You can have nutraceuticals from that. There are umpteen possibilities in the food, agriculture, food processing sector, and this is perfectly feasible. But please understand, business naturally requires marketing. Marketing is business, many people say. Baba Ramdev has been able to demonstrate do the the juice, or you look at maybe XYZ, look at the Guruji, or look at anything, look at Baba Ramdev. You should not be surprised if Baba Ramdev comes up tomorrow with a whole lot of formulations. But Baba Ramdev has done it by very effective, very potent marketing all over the world. Look at Haldiram, for example. I mean, you don't have to go very far. I have got Sukhadia, 150 years old. I've got something like Rajkot Pendawala, XYZ. There are hundreds and hundreds of enterprises that have become successful in this area, and I would very strongly urge that a correct identification of the opportunity should be done and should be pursued.
Wonderful. Nagaraja साहब, एक interesting question है. रविराज चौहान पूछ रहे हैं, what is most important for startup, cash flow or profitability?
देखिए, कैश फ्लो, प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी, इवेंचुअली आपकी बॉटम लाइन को क्या इंपैक्ट करता है. अगर आप समझो कि निगेटिव पे चलते रहेंगे, आप कैश फ्लो पे देखेंगे और आप जो है मतलब आपकी प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी नहीं हो, तो विल ड्राई अप. सपोज यू स्टार्ट विद 20 लाख और आपने जो मान लिया हर साल जो है 5 लाख का नुकसान किया, 15 लाख तो आपके पास में आ गए, 5 लाख नुकसान हुआ. You need to finance that. It's good for people like Ola or somebody else, because they have got a whole lot of money that is coming from KBD accounts. KBD accounts means Kona Bapni Diwali accounts. Offshore banks, offshore maybe centers are a repository of a whole lot of money whose ownership is difficult to determine. So all that money is coming into KBD, and from KBD it is coming into various enterprises because they are looking to absorb losses for 5 or 10 years, and after that make the business very valuable and then possibly take it to the next level. It is not possible for everybody. When you are a micro entrepreneur and you don't have, or a small entrepreneur, and you don't have such deep pockets, then it is better to certainly look at the profitability. If you're planning for maybe losses, plan them 2 years, 3 years. You can say, yes, I'm doing it for the sake of acquisition of customers. I'm doing it for the sake of trials, because the trials are there in the commercial place, trials are there in maybe some other place, and this is something which should be properly thought through.
धनराज साहब, एक सवाल है. अंकित आनंद ये पूछ रहे हैं, आपने कहा स्मॉल इंडस्ट्री आर बैकबोन ऑफ इकोनॉमी, और जो लघु उद्योग हैं कहीं ना कहीं राष्ट्रीय इकोनॉमी की बहुत बड़े हिस्सेदार हैं. तो ये कोविड की टाइम में स्मॉल इकोनॉमी की कमर जो है कहीं ना कहीं थोड़ी सी चैलेंजिंग सिचुएशन में है. उन लोगों को कैसे डील करना होगा, वो लोग कैसा इनोवेशन करेंगे, क्या स्ट्रैटेजी रहेगी, सो दैट पहली बात तो 2020 में लाइव रहे और फिर बाद में ग्रो करें.
अभी तो देखिए लिक्विडिटी क्राइसिस बहुत बड़ी है. द स्मॉल इंडस्ट्रीज हैव गॉट अ वेरी बिग लिक्विडिटी क्राइसिस. वी नो दैट वेरी वेल, एंड many of them are not, I'm talking about the micro and the small enterprises together, many of them do not have an ongoing working capital relationship. And today the biggest challenge is liquidity and working capital. You don't have any the cash inflow, but you've got staff, you've got rent to pay, things like that. So you naturally need to attend to that. So how do you get cash? And that is how so the government, I think, is trying to help out by creating alternative channels. For example, in Gujarat, they have they asked cooperative banks to give say money to the small people or the micro people, and Government of India has created an SPV through which money will be made available to NBFCs, who in turn will be providing the finance to micro and small enterprises. So this kind of a liquidity has to be made available. Once the liquidity is available, and once say you are able to survive, you have to think how can you cut your costs, how can you probably grow. This is going to vary from enterprise to enterprise. What business are they in? What are going to be needs of the customers? What they should be making? What services should be that they should be delivering? Where can get the money? Where they cannot get the money? These are all individualized challenges and individualized analysis that the people have to do.
Wonderful, sir. सर, एक पार्टिसिपेंट है रवि आयंगर चेन्नई से, वो पूछ रहे हैं, व्हाट डू यू सी द फ्यूचर ऑफ सस्टेनेबल सॉलिड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट, स्पेशली इन सीटू फूड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट, गिवन द पोस्ट कोविड हॉस्पिटैलिटी इंडस्ट्री विल बी सीवियरली अफेक्टेड.
ये जो है आपको लग रहा है हॉस्पिटैलिटी 3, 4, 6 महीने में सब वापस आ जाएगा. अभी आज की तारीख में क्या हो रहा है, एवरीबडी सो फियर स्ट्रक. ये सब फियर धीरे धीरे कम हो जाएगा. ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है द सॉल्यूशन विल नॉट बी फाउंड. मैं आपको बता सकता हूँ, आई मीन if you are not maybe not in a position to treat the things holistically, if you are able to treat the things in an equitable manner, Within homeopathy, for example, COVID-19 patients have been dealt very, very well by a simple thing called camphora. Dr. Rajan Shankaran has treated people successfully to the tune of 99% with camphora 1M. Likewise, there are doctors in Calcutta, doctors, maybe they're in Delhi, who are able to treat. COVID-19 has been hyped up in such a manner that it has given a scare to every one of us. Please understand, it will die down because the solutions will be found. It will be found either through Ayurveda or through homeopathy. Here in Ahmedabad, around 200 patients who were there in quarantine or who were there, say maybe as the people that were not with you may say the corona positive people, as well as say around 213 people who were corona positive. 99% of them, 98% of them turned negative after 7 days of Ayurvedic treatment. Ayurveda has treatment, homeopathy has treatment. There is a problem, as I'm telling you. The biggest opportunity, entrepreneurial opportunity, is clinical validation. So if entrepreneurs come forward and pursue the so-called randomized, double-blind, the test, and take it and establish that XYZ element that they've got is suitable, they have created a wonderful business for themselves. It is easy. And there are so many candidates which could be put to that use. So I would urge people not to think that the world is going to remain the same as it is now. It will undergo a change, I'm not saying, but there will be more, I think, prominent changes in the way we are doing business. I mean, today we are thinking that each one of us has to go to the office and do it. Maybe 50% of us will have to go to the office. I mean, we will certainly find that the way we have been doing business is very inefficient, is very expensive. It is time consuming. If, for example, to gather 20 people in some, the conference there in Delhi, look at the amount of time that all these 20 people will be spending. Somebody's coming from Bangalore, somebody's coming from Chennai. Whereas within half an hour, 1 hour, with a, dedicated agenda, with a dedicated, kind of, maybe conductance, dedicated anchoring, you can finish the whole meeting in one, maybe hour, which can be followed, by another hour, or maybe compiling everything, giving it, and this could be very efficient. Same thing, can be there in education, training, etc., etc., etc. So we will find those things changing a lot more. As far as entertainment is concerned, we will have, say, other modes of, entertainment. May not be the same kind of, maybe hotel experience, but we'll have something else. We know very well what has happened to the music industry. We are now having, concerts, the online concerts we are having. I mean, some artists, like, XYZ, musician, can invite, the 500 people, can charge. There is a platform available through which, so the charge can be taken. He can perform, everybody can enjoy. 3 days or 4 days back, some musician who had never been heard in early morning organized at 4:30 a classical music, the concert that was attended by, maybe several hundred people who paid for it, let's see. So there are new business models that will emerge. The requirements, see the requirements of ours, as I said, are going to be there. Dharma, earth, calm. Calm, that is the entertainment part. The moment, we are comfortable, we would like to have enjoyment. Calm does not mean anything else than the entertainment. So we'll require entertainment, we'll require enjoyment, we'll have marriages, we will have, other things. Everything will happen. And the business models may become a little different. But please appreciate, there are solutions awaiting. We need not think that the world has come to an end.
Wonderful. Sir, एक जो common questions ये आ रहा है कि many often the challenges creates new opportunities. जब भी कोई ऐसी challenge होती है, नया opportunity बनता है, और कुछ ही लोग होते हैं जो उस opportunity को seize कर पाते हैं, जो सजाग होते हैं, जो जागरूक होते हैं, जिनके पास उस opportunity को leverage करने का मौका होता है. तो संस्थागत तरीके से, जैसे मान लीजिए कि इस बार प्रोटेक्टेड इक्विपमेंट्स की डिमांड हुई, तो सरकार को क्या संस्थागत तरीके से, जैसे आपने होम्योपैथी की बात कहा, आयुर्वेद की बात कहा, जिसमें पोटेंशियल सॉल्यूशन दिखता है क्राइसिस के टाइम में, वहां कुछ टॉप डाउन इनिशिएटिव हो रहे हैं क्या उस तरीके से चीजों को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए?
टॉप डाउन बॉटम अप दोनों को साथ में चलना पड़ता है. अब टॉप डाउन भी है, जैसे आप बताएंगे आयुष के मामले में there was a lot of resistance. I'll be very frank with you, because WHO, maybe, maybe supporting the complementary and alternative medicine, that is only on paper. In the heart of their hearts, they are not supportive, because WHO, please appreciate, is working for the funders. The people who are giving them funds, they generally go by their agenda. If the private companies are giving funds, if allopathic companies are giving them funds, they'll be working to the agenda of allopathic companies. If the US is giving them funds, they'll work to the agenda of US government. If China is giving them the funds, they'll work to the agenda of China. So WHO has not been very appreciative and is very supportive. So in this particular instance, government of India, after declaration of pandemic, had to listen to WHO. WHO's arm in India is called ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research. So entire, you can say, COVID response has been monitored by WHO and ICMR. I don't blame them, but ICMR is completely driven by biomedical branch, which is the allopathic branch. They don't have Ayurvedic, they don't have allopathic. Within, maybe the government of India, there are two ministries. One is Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, which is headed by Dr. Harshvardhan. And the second one is called Ministry of Ayush, which is headed by Shripad Naik. In this particular instance, Harshvardhan ji, or the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, was responsible, and it was not giving any importance to Ayush. And that is why it took quite some time for the top leadership to see that Ayush is also brought in. Now that it has come in, suddenly you are finding that they want, to promote research. And for this particular purpose, an Ayush task force was constituted by Government of India. 17 people task force was there, which is going into different solutions that can be done. So top down also happens because of naturally such pressures. Bottom up, but there are opportunities. Now, this is where I'm saying the entrepreneurs have to wake up. Government has created a fairly favorable condition. It has created a congenial condition. It is up to the entrepreneurs to come forward and reinforce this thinking with their offerings. And obviously, when they are making this offering, it has to be customer-centric. Please understand, government can say anything, but as long as the customer is not willing to touch it. If, maybe government says that you take kada, but understand, you find kada, to be unpalatable. You kada to be bitter. Would you take it? Government can say anything. I can say anything. मैं कह सकता हूँ कि साहब आप इसको
user perception and user behavior will also be.
तो उसका user behavior customer को तो जाकर जो entrepreneur को ही करना पड़ेगा ना. सरकार तो कुछ भी बोल सकती है, पर entrepreneur को जो है उसका धर्म है. He has to be customer centric. He has to move in the market. He has to move to the customer. He has to understand his requirements and aspirations and give. That particular thing cannot be abundant in any situation. So opportunity सरकार ने कर दी. तो मेरा कहने का मतलब है कि सरकार ने बहुत opportunity create करके रखी है. आप लोगों को take up करना है.
एक सवाल लेने हैं. चक्रधर आयुरी हैं चारूसाट यूनिवर्सिटी से. वो कह रहे हैं यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ टेक्सास डलास में एक प्रोफेसर हैं सिसोदिया करके. वो आजकल न्यू थ्योरी के ऊपर बातें करते हैं, कॉन्शियस कैपिटलिज्म, जो कहीं ना कहीं
कौन सा का है?
कॉन्शियस कैपिटलिज्म.
ओके.
वो कह रहे हैं कि कहीं ना कहीं वो शुद्ध लाभ जैसे कोई फिलॉसफी से इंस्पायर्ड हैं, और कह रहे हैं कि ये यूनिवर्सिटीज और सरकार को ये कॉन्शियस कैपिटलिज्म और शुद्ध लाभ के ऊपर कुछ हो रहा है कि कुछ होना चाहिए. क्या करें उस चीज पे?
देखिए, सरकार की जो अपने लिमिटेशन है, प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, everything cannot be expected from the government. आपको मैं, since there are some educationists and some people from the universities, मैं आपको सबको एक सवाल पूछता हूँ. चाणक्य की किताब अर्थशास्त्र स्कूल ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स में भी यहाँ पढ़ाई नहीं जाती है. Why? Because of the fact that we are completely conditioned. I'm not saying there is anything wrong or right, but I'm saying that most of us are conditioned by the Western thinking. I am a graduate of IIM Ahmedabad. और मैं आपको ये कह सकता हूँ कि हम एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप की बात करते हैं, ठीक है ना. We have got, say, CIIE, as they are very well aware, which is Center for Innovation, XYZ, maybe entrepreneurship. आपको पता ही है. अब इस साल IIM में 480 बच्चों ने जो पास आउट किया, 480 maybe people passed out. Out of that, how many people wanted to go for their own entrepreneurship drive? I think not even 8 or 10 people, 1 or 2%.
इस बार 2 लोग गए 480 में.
2 लोग गए. Now you ask yourself why? Because of the fact that in the rating of the institute, there is no mark given for entrepreneurship. ना प्रोफेसर पढ़ाना चाहते हैं, ना बच्चे पढ़ना चाहते हैं. Government thinks that IIMs and likes of them should be given all the encouragement for entrepreneurship. But in the reality that's not happening. So शुभ लाभ की जब आप बात करते हैं, कॉन्शियस कैपिटलिज्म की जो बात करते हैं, ये I'm very sorry to say what say Sanskrit sometime, or what say our old say maybe languages can express in very pithy a manner. English sometimes takes a very long time. I'll just illustrate two maybe instances in this. You look at bottom of the pyramid. I was invited for a conference on something development of bottom of the pyramid, or something like development of bottom of the pyramid. So I asked that particular organizer, what you mean by bottom of the pyramid? And very confusing answers. Finally, I said, is there any word that describes bottom of the pyramid in Sanskrit? He did not answer that. I said it is Antya. Antya is the poorest of the poor. Antya. And Uday is the growth or the development. So I said Antyodaya describes your maybe the term extremely well. Why don't you maybe cast this as an Antyodaya? Well, there were professors coming from US, professors coming from everywhere. So terminology that has been picked up by maybe the Westerners or the Englishmen and others sometimes puts them on a very wrong track. Antyodaya is much better than the possible development of the bottom of the pyramid, because it will not be understood in the country. So this is something. Shubh Labh, for example, these two words are so simple to understand. Labh, everybody understands. Profit or wealth creation, everybody understands. Shubh also, everybody understands. But we are not able to put that in context and say, oh, Shubh Labh is a kind of a win-win profit where everybody is happy. Hare ka kalyan hai, hare ka mangal hai. The Shubh Labh wali philosophy kya hai? So उसमें क्या होता है? You are able to combine economics with ethics, economy with ecology, economy with equity. Last but not the least, आप कभी सोचिएगा, आप लोग सब सोचिएगा कि economy and ecology दोनों में eco common है, eco plus nomi, eco plus logy. So eco जो है वो क्या है? Eco means habitat, eco means house. एक के अंदर जो है उसकी जो साइंस की बात है, दूसरे में उसकी जो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन की बात है. Economy and ecology have to therefore go together. They can't be separate. All the development that we had, GDP based development without caring for environment, is say responsible for many of the ills that we see. So we need to look at ethical economics. We need to look at ecological economics.
करण कह रहे हैं फेसबुक से कि भाई अर्थशास्त्र नेशनल ट्रेजर है लेकिन कहीं पढ़ता नहीं है. हम लोग फॉरेन इकोनॉमिक्स को बहुत देख रहे हैं और हम लोग अपने जो ट्रेजर्स हैं उसको नहीं देख रहे हैं. सेल्फ एस्टीम की कहीं ना कहीं कमी है और ये सही में एक चैलेंज है कि मेनी ऑफन आवर थ्योरी एंड प्रैक्टिस डजंट मैच. तो एक सवाल हमारे तरफ के लिए है. कुछ लोग ये पूछ रहे हैं कि स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से किस तरीके से इनोवेशन एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप सपोर्ट मिल रहा है. तो ये जो स्टूडेंट इनोवेशन पॉलिसी जिसको हम लोग ड्राइव करते हैं, इसमें हम लोग बहुत फ्लेक्सिबल तरीके से सीड ग्रांट्स देते हैं. एनी ऑफ योर स्टूडेंट्स, आई सी लॉट ऑफ पार्टिसिपेंट्स फ्रॉम अक्रॉस द स्टेट, मोर देन 8-10 स्टेट्स लिसनिंग टू दंगायत सर. तो जितने भी लोग हैं मैं उनके माध्यम से कहना चाहूंगा कि हम लोग गवर्नमेंट से जो फंड्स देते हैं, जो इनोवेशन का ग्रांट्स देते हैं, वो बहुत छोटा हिस्सा है एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप सपोर्ट्स का. बहुत बड़ा हिस्सा रहता है कि मेंटर्स क्या कर रहा है, उसकी जो इन्वेस्टिंग कम्युनिटी है वो किस तरीके से गाइड कर रहे हैं. तो कहीं ना कहीं एक होलिस्टिक इकोसिस्टम की जरूरत पड़ती है जिसको हम लोग गुजरात इनोवेशन हब के द्वारा कोशिश कर रहे हैं पुश करने के लिए. और हर रोज आफ्टरनून में 4 to 3:30 में दंगायत जी से जैसा कोई वेटरन आदमी जो 40 साल इंडस्ट्री में ज्ञान अप्लाई करने के बाद आपको 40 मिनट में समरी बताने के लिए तैयार हैं, ऐसे लोग हम आपके पास ले आते हैं. नागार्जुन सर हमारे बीच में हैं, कमिश्नर हायर एजुकेशन. सर भी इकोनॉमिक्स के बैकग्राउंड से हैं, रिजर्व बैंक में थे IAS ऑफिसर बनने से पहले. तो नागार्जुन सर, एक सवाल आपके लिए भी है. कुछ लोग पूछ रहे थे कि इकोनॉमिक ऑर्डर में ये इनोवेशन एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप में डिजास्टर का क्या रोल है. ये जो क्राइसिस वगैरह आता है, किस तरीके से ये नया इनोवेशन वैल्यू चेन या एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप वैल्यू चेन क्रिएट करता है.
इकोनॉमिक्स में आप कोई भी बिजनेस की जब प्लानिंग करते हैं तो हम बिजनेस कंटिन्यूटी की बात करते हैं. उसमें एक सिनेरियो एनालिसिस होता है कि ऐसा होगा तो क्या करेंगे. उसमें बहुत सारी जो ऑप्शंस है उसमें एक डिजास्टर का भी है और कई बार कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में भी हम लिखते हैं एक्ट ऑफ गॉड जो है उसमें आएगा. लेकिन कोविड में यही चैलेंज है कि सबसे बड़े से बड़े कॉरपोरेशन या कॉरपोरेट्स या कंपनीज भी इस तरीके की जो सिचुएशन है इसको प्रेडिक्ट करने में नाकामयाब रहे हैं। तो इससे हम सबको आई थिंक ये साबित होता है कि जितना भी हम प्लानिंग करें तो देयर विल बी सम सिचुएशन व्हिच वी हैव टू फेस इन आवर पर्सनल लाइफ एंड आल्सो इन द बिजनेस लाइफ और एज एन एंटरप्रेन्योर। बट पॉइंट मैं ये कहना चाहता हूं कि हमें सिस्टम में और अपने ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल कल्चर में एक रेसिलिएंट माइंडसेट बिल्डअप करना चाहिए। रेसिलिएंट माइंडसेट मतलब क्या है कि जब भी कुछ आपत्ति आती है या कुछ हम इशू फेस करते हैं, डाउन हो जाते हैं, तो डाउन ही नहीं रहना है, वापस आना है, उसको कहीं ना कहीं कोई ना कोई तरीके से आगे बढ़ने के लिए सोचना है। स्टार्टअप की भाषा में कहूँ तो इसको पाइवट बोल सकते हैं, या आप लॉन्ग टर्म प्लानिंग करो ऐसे बोल सकते हैं, थोड़ा लिक्विडिटी मैनेजमेंट, ये सब टैक्टिक्स होता है, बट माइंडसेट तो रखना है, अपने को डाउन नहीं फील होना है। और अभी तो रंगायत साहब ने भी बताया था कि नया नया अपॉर्चुनिटीज आ रहा है, उसको कैच ऑन करना है। दूसरे एक सेशन में हमने डिस्कस किया था कि अभी आप पैसा बना सकते हो तो पैसा बनाओ, नहीं तो कस्टमर बनाओ। अगर दोनों बना सकते हो तो बहुत ही अच्छा है। और हमारे पास भी इतने सारे एग्जाम्पल्स हैं इसमें बहुत सारे लोगों ने अपना मेन प्रोडक्ट छोड़ के अभी मास्क और पीपीई और हेल्थ केयर की प्रोटेक्शन इक्विपमेंट्स की डिमांड है, तो उनकी माइंडसेट इतना अजाइल थी, उनकी टीम इतना फास्ट थी, तो उन्होंने पूरा चेंज करके एग्जिस्टिंग लोगों से भी बीट करके उन्होंने मार्केट बनाया, अपना कस्टमर बनाया अपनी। तो जो बंदा कुछ भी करना चाहता है और वो अपॉर्चुनिटी को कन्वर्ट करने के लिए ट्राई करता है और सिस्टमेटिक वे में जाता है, तो बिल्कुल कुछ भी कर सकते हैं। माइंडसेट पहले रेसिलिएंट माइंडसेट रखना है, चाहे वो अपनी पर्सनल लाइफ हो या कोई अपना बिजनेस हो कि एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप हो कि स्टार्टअप हो। और आज बहुत ही अच्छा सेशन रहा। मैं अब इस तबके में बोलना चाहता हूँ कि रंगायत साहब का जो भी क्लैरिटी के साथ उन्होंने बताया है कि निचोड़ के बात को सीधी रखी, उसके लिए मैं उनको थैंक्स बोलता हूँ। मैं भी मानता हूँ कि जो इंडियन हेल्थ केयर सिस्टम्स है उसमें बहुत सारी जो सॉल्यूशंस हैं, बहुत ही अच्छी चीजें हैं जिसको हमें और भी लाना चाहिए, छुपे रखना बोल सकते हैं, उसको लाना चाहिए। और कोविड भी ऐसा एक दोबारा अपॉर्चुनिटी प्रेजेंट किया अपने को, और कहीं ना कहीं हमको बैलेंस करना पड़ेगा कि एलोपैथी एक बाजू है तो इंडियन हेल्थ सिस्टम की जो मेडिसिन सिस्टम्स है उनका भी रोल है, हमको चूज करना है। और सही पॉइंट उन्होंने बताया कि कस्टमर क्या सोच रहा है। अगर हम सब लोग कस्टमर हैं, हम अगर सोचे हमें अभी पेट दर्द तुरंत होता है, तो क्या हम टैबलेट लेना चाहते हैं या आयुर्वेदिक दवा लेना चाहते हैं? अगर ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोग आयुर्वेद की ओर जाएंगे तो ऑटोमेटिक इंडस्ट्री बदल जाएगी। तो ये कस्टमर प्रेफरेंस की बात भी बड़ी चीज होती है। और एलोपैथी सबको पता है कि टेम्पररी सॉल्यूशन देता है, और सस्टेनेबल और जो परमानेंट सॉल्यूशन है वो इंडियन सिस्टम्स ऑफ मेडिसिन में है, और प्रिवेंशन की पद्धति भी है। ये सब प्रिंसिपल्स देख के हमें डिसीजन लेना होगा। बट उन्होंने बहुत ही अच्छा बोला, और जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया लेवल पे लैंडस्केप के बारे में भी उन्होंने जो इन्फॉर्मेशन दिया, मेरे लिए भी काफी नॉलेजेबल रहा। मैं तो साइलेंट बन के सब सुन रहा था। थैंक यू वेरी मच सर, आप आए और आपका सब नॉलेज हमको शेयर किया, इंस्पिरेशन दिया। क्वेश्चन से पता चलता है कि लोगों के भी एंगेजमेंट लेवल्स काफी अच्छी रही है। एंड आई थैंक हिरण्मय फॉर गेटिंग रंगायत साहब on board today and for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.